tapping. You're listening to Live Tales written and performed by Weber. So if you haven't listened to part, you go listen to that before listening. In the last episode, we introduced Darl. When we're up the sloping switchback rock to retrieve a map episode, we find out more and meet the Terrafacia, the inescapable. So onward, part 2. Of the dam, the road was mud. Looking out from here, tossed in the breeze. Above, the shadow off the cliff edge, said, pointing to a plat above them. A road where the angry flagstone, accompanied by city guardsmen, heaved shut behind them. Better hurry, Ven said, and thumbing in the direction. Darl squinted down at the he said, turning.
Plenty of time. They'll have to go to the magistrate guards to make an arrest.
How many? Ven said. You seem very familiar around here.
And this kind of thing?
Which is why, for the sake, if you just keep your head and stay out of trouble.
Finds me, brother, but don't worry about it. We'll have the map and be
fine. Actually, that's one of clear on. Out of here.
I
worry. Silence. About mid-next switchback, they came shack set so far off a rickety plank to the front door. Darl said. He stomped to open the door. Long shafts of sunses in the wood slat-sided interior and a deepening.
Amades! Here!
Furnace stood at its multitude of stoves up the ceiling. Glass piping and copper correct course through the room of burned material inside. Wood, dung, and more exotic fume, nameable alchemical.
Probably at the tavern. Likes his drink.
Realize that you told her to find us. Then,
when?
You're taking me to my king. Darl's eyes.
Oh.
Ven spoke with the lift to a tantruming child. Darl, to get out of here.
Well, I mean, so they'd know to come here anyway.
His nose. Darl it like a rebuke.
Just let me get the map.
And scuffled off to Clint.
Hurry
him.
Don't.
Mother's voice came from the gloom.
For how to get out of here without any
trouble. Shimmied back down the latchment.
Tickle things.
As Ven allowed himself to get out a long for receiving it. Map.
See what you can read.
Hustling off to the loft again.
Amades isn't here. And almost as learned about lore about cutting him in on this, but I had to say about it first. Do think ahead about things.
Ven unfolded the out on an empty set. He had to slide a few room. Faded, and the light was oil lamp. Lit it, in his pouch, and set it on the page. What he saw, in the amber light of an antique artifact fading. The depicted were stylized. Read distances, but the landmarks had been rendered. Landmark made Ven useful for navigation purposes was annotated by some ancient explorer practiced penmanship. The writing was runic. If Ven's the character's origin. Rungs. Darl down the ladder from the loft with excitement. Ven frowned down. A little. Is this? Fingertip below a monolithic gap between two far western edge of the map.
Cascade Rock.
Face beamed with pride.
There was a city here. Settled it.
This. Then spread bands east of their location. This beyond the dam. Darl reverence tinged, indicating the rune rose. He said. Then ran his eyes across. It showed a mountain peaks of what had to be, given the Cascade Rock landmark, folk far to the west world, due to the fact that a leggy dams could be found on, but the eastern edge of the detail into a blank region was yet unexplored. The cartographer had marked. They were beautifully deep portraits of the indicated. One appeared to be a troll, another in handwriting in some portrait. Darl replied, a tinge of defensiveness.
In temples. What are
Ven looked at his brother skeptics.
Guffed. There are no golden chalices and offerings to the priest in some ancient for the plucking.
Rubbed his hands together, but couldn't help but be taken in. So you've been up there? Eagerly. You've seen it, Mac? Let's see it. Held up his palms.
What? No kidding? That's the wild. I'm not self. You're the...
Ven sighed. Typical Darl. You banned here, and you didn't... How do you know any of this stuff?
It's out there. I asked
with confusion.
What?
That if everyone in Cascade Rock knows about good chance that at some point over the last city has stood here, some looted them ahead of you. But even...
Occurred to me.
And?
Scared to go out there.
Scared of what?
The usual stuff. Men and the like. But we're...
Man who won't go out there alone. Studying his brother's face, there was a certain logic still crazy.
If you knew where the map came...
To say, but then he shut his mouth tight, as if thinking, where did it come from?
Well, anything.
A look on his brother, scolding mother.
This is Magistrate Ratton, and surrender yourself to... How did he get here so fast?
To a shuttered window, and for a peek. But again, with a start, wall. Eyes wide and tusks he clambered across over obstacles in his way. He hissed. Ven stood rooted to watch Darl tramp frantic. He was unable to reconcile terror with the reckless behavior. He said, what are you...
Her!
With that, back door, and slipped out.
Go where?
Snatching up the map, and crumpled the parchment and folds of his pouch. Door, he found himself in a balcony overlooking the low. Even ousted, broken clay vessel, a tripod, some potted hemp rope. Was frantically sifting, then took one step to say something when, overhead, before he felt a whoosh of by something constricting, the unmistakable of a blade pressed neck, his mouth of dogwood flowers suckle, coming from the he dared not touch as move under the such action would result mortal wound from his pleasant. He heard a woman's voice, low and even. Where? Cell was not onerous, overlooked the wooded deck and let in a fresh breeze with the cool moisture of the fall. For he'd been lying on his back, listening to the scratching sound of a knife outside. It hadn't been the mob of Ingham. If that had been, it would merely have fined him for several weeks, or whipping. But, from a powerful consequence for that theft, would be, if it weren't for the image, he would never. He shuddered at the thought of the to Ven's throat, and the competency of its magistrate Ratton had not used the situation. Darl, his brother, would be dead. Earned warning by the magistrate to go. The fit away the precious map, and a measure of conciliation to be able to use it to bargain when he had secured his release to the sheriff's office, opened by a lazy response.
Looks like you got...
Bill said, and when Darl smiled to him, would be them. He up, stretched his arms, leaned against the iron bars.
So long.
He was about to... Visitor came into view. He leapt back from the iron gate.
What are you doing here?
The stone, straight, tousled, jetting about her shoulders, and she wore a web of blades hung about her hips from a leather harness. Bright peered out from beads of hair, studying difference. I deliver you to Lord, in a low voice, Redway, for your... Darl nodded, and swung. The woman slid a dagger from steel, made a shimmering. She caressed the edge with... What kind would steal from... What do you think will he do to your family, if his property is not returned to him?
Adracia, I swear to you.
Adracia held a finger to her lip. Unless you're where the map is.
Hold it! I swear to you!
Incredulous glare. Shack. It was... I must have over this person.
This,
Darl insisted, to weigh the lie impatience. I will inform they have it. He will hunt and... With that, Adracia turned on her heel and left. Floral scent lingered on. Bill stopped scratching at his wound. Really, Adracia? Breathlessly. Affirmative. She's Redway, is she? Frightening thought. Hunting me. Lies and Half-Truths by A.P. Weber, and produced. Our theme was provided by Josiah. Consider liking, sharing, or reviewing this podcast wherever you listened to it. You're on Patreon. And next time, for more